We had a couple of questions over lunch and just kind of some fun stuff that was going on. Where we wanted to jump back in is on freight. So technically the question is this right here, okay? We know we have a vendor having a PO which gets us into general inventory. And this is Cheryl's question. And what her question was is earlier this morning we were talking about how the inventory items, they automatically transfer themselves up to the balance sheet under assets. However, when you actually pay for them, how do you record the automatic piece versus the piece that's freight that you want a little teeny piece of this PO to show up here under P&L or either under expenses or cost of goods, kind of depending on where you want that freight literally to show up, okay? This might actually be a good way to kind of create an expense type and cycle it right into the P&L under cost of goods versus a normal expense. And that's a decision you would make in your company. Does that make sense how that would work? What I'm going to do right now is we're going to kind of just create a scenario. So if I'm going to switch gears to a different web browser that has the revenue and the cost of goods and whatnot. So when we bring in the PO, what happens is we technically go like this. Our assets just went up. We just have more inventory, okay? And our liabilities, until we pay for it, also goes up, okay? Those kind of offset each other as far as what's going on. The piece that's important is we need something to hit, either over in cost of goods or expenses. This is kind of a decision. What we're talking about is freight. Freight or shipping on your items. You technically want your inventory goes up by a certain amount, your liability goes up by that entire amount, but not all of your PO was a full asset. Some of it was technically over here. We need to figure out where we want to do the mapping. Cheryl, where do you normally like to record your freight? Is it in an expense or is it in the cost of goods sold? And it doesn't matter. It's totally company specific.
I don't know what we did the last time we brought it in since I'm just setting it up. I guess it's not only that I'm concerned about, also I'm concerned about I'm selling things in ounces and it's small. And Jeff, I don't want to just, I know I'm jumping, but I'm going to tell you also one of my other concerns.
Okay.
Is that when I figure out how much to charge somebody and the markup, really honest and truly, my freight ought to be part of that cost of my herbs. And I get down so small that I'm thinking, am I doing myself a disservice by not including the freight with it? Also, is there a way to do that? Okay, so I probably would do it in the cost of goods sold.
Okay.
Because I sell in such small things, I want to make sure that
it's
being included.
Okay.
Yeah.
So check this out. Either way, if it goes cost of goods sold or expenses, both of those hit your P&L, okay? It just depends on, do you want it to come out of gross profit or out of net profit? Okay, that's literally what the difference is. Are you going top side or bottom side? Like where are we pulling this money out? So you say you wanted one at cost of goods sold. The first thing I'm going to do is go check my expense types, okay? So basically, I'm going to leave this window open, just tab right back here. I'm going to go in here and make sure I have a category for freight that's mapped towards cost of goods sold that'll hit here, okay? So I'm going to click here, and we're just going to really quick pop in. Expense receipt homepage. We're going to go to the expense types. These are literally the cans, okay? These are the cans that you're going to end up putting stuff in. And I'm just going to kind of scroll down here and see what we have. And we're looking for freight or shipping. I'm not sure if they already have something. I don't see anything right now, okay? So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to come up to the top. We're going to say, okay, you know what? We're going to probably put it under cost of goods sold. Now you'll notice IS cost of goods sold compared to IS normal or BS special. Okay, those are our three different little categories. We're going to say cost of goods sold, incoming freight. Are you okay with that, or do you want to call it something else?
That's great.
So basically the freight that's coming in on inventory items coming in. Just for our reference on POs, okay? Like that's just kind of for our references we're talking, okay? Let's go ahead and add the account. Click. So first thing that we're probably going to want to go do is see if we have any particular expenses that are out there or outstanding. So I'm going to click home for a second. I'm going to go to my PO homepage. Now why would I go there first?
Because there might be some freight on one of those.
Yeah, I'm going to actually check it out. So what I'm going to do is I landed on my PO homepage. I'm going to go to my advanced PO search. Okay. My advanced PO search has two different parts. I have search the main or search the line items. Okay. So I have two separate little spots of it. When we have a normal PO, just so you can kind of get an idea, watch this. PO last, we'll just go to the one we just created earlier today. So here's how it breaks out. Am I looking for something that would be in the main, or am I looking for something that would be in the line items? So ideally, your freight would be down here, okay? And then your total PO amount would be up in the main. You have to kind of differentiate. Right now, this has one main, one line item, but literally you could have, this is PO number 51. Watch this. We're just going to kind of switch so that we can kind of see a different PO. Let's say PO 40. What do we have on 40? Oh, it had two line items. But technically, that's the one-to-many relationship, okay? Let's go to number 6, see what's on PO 6. Oh, tons. 1,674 line items on this one, okay?
Wow.
Once again, you can see a one-to-many relationship. This is pulling in tons and tons of, looks like shoes possibly. Sport Deluxe Black. Like, looks kind of like shoes, like bowling shoes. Okay, this is a one-to-many. I had no clue that this particular one had so many on it, but that'll give you an idea of one-to-many. We saw one that had 1-to-1, 1-to-2, and 1-to-1,600. So like it's called a one-to-many relationship, okay? Gonna go Control Home, back up to the top of the page. Not sure what else we got here. Just somebody was playing around. I was just checking. Okay, so what I wanted to do is the reason I was doing this is we were on the PO Advanced Search, ADV. Here's the main, here's the line items. Now what I wanted to do was I actually wanted to kind of say, hey, do I have any freight? FR, FRE, let's see if anything's been added to it. Okay, and what have we got? FR, it's actually grabbing some of these other little pieces of the puzzle.
No.
I don't see any freight that we've done so far. So let's pretend that we're going to have a brand new PO. Earlier today we brought in a whole bunch of bowling balls. Let's go find a specific item just for fun. Looks like all of these are coming out of the vendor Pro Bowling Supplies. And here's some neoprene forearm regulars. This must be like a guard or a brace or something, okay? So it's called 4STN. So we're going to go like this, PO new, and we're going to say the vendor is the Pro Bowling Shop. Just going to kind of quickly do something like that. Click. That's perfect. We're going to say create the new PO. Basic live is great. You remember what we did last time. That means it's tied to inventory and vendor specific. Let's go ahead and bring it into our Sacramento location and got some wrist guards. Now I don't know if that's really a wrist guard or if it's a support or whatever, but like we'll pretend that I know what I'm doing there. Okay. Now, how much is our PO amount? Once again, we're totally faking this. We don't have something right in front of us. And ideally, if you do have something in front of you, it helps out a ton. Because then all of a sudden you're like, I got it, I got it, I got it. Let's just say that, let's go $50. How about that? Mm-hmm. And we'll go ahead and create a little number. Let's go PRO, couple fours. Yes, I do have these items in my inventory. Perfect. Add the PO. We might have to alter that price. I really don't know what it's going to come out with. Shannon, do you happen to remember what that letter was? I've been talking so much I can't even remember.
Oh my goodness, I know.
And
The 4, it had a 4.
I can't.
I can go back and look.
Okay, let's pretend here. Gloves, gloves, gloves.
Wristmaster. You could do some of those. Those are some wristmasters.
Okay, let's pretend that I knew what I was looking for, okay? I don't know what I'm looking for. Wristmate, it's still some wrist guards, okay? Let's go here, we'll say add a basic line item. So there's 16 bucks a piece. We wanted about $50 worth. Let's go ahead and say we just got 2 of them, and then we'll add the rest in freight, okay? 2 of them, leave it at that cost, no problem, add the line items. Click. Okay, at this point, our $50 thing is off. We're off by $16.20, okay? So ideally, here's where kind of the question resides. Technically, we owe $50. Technically, only $33.80 is part of inventory, and the rest of this is in freight. So that's where we get the disconnect. Like, okay, I've got one PO, but it needs to now show its values here, here, and here. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. You can just literally type the word freight, F-R-E-I, whatever, or if you wanted to, you could actually hammer it in right here. Okay. Which way would you like me to do it? You want me to search for it or just hammer it in?
Search for it.
Okay, perfect. We're going to search for it, click it. Okay, I had too many, F-R-E-I. Oh, it's right there at the top.
Yeah.
I didn't even look down. The first place I looked was right there. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't want to sort through 44. But it is right there. Okay. Basically, all I would do is kind of tighten up that search, and then that's what I was looking for. Something simple. Okay. Say add the basic line item. Okay, I can't even remember how much it was now. Literally, what you would have is you would technically have your invoice right in front of you. Okay. We'll come right back. I just try to get the value that we're looking for. 1620. Watch this. I'm just going to copy it. Control copy. We'll do F-R-E-I-G-H. Freight added its basic line item. Quantity of 1. And the cost was 16. Paste. 1620. Okay. Freight. Good to go. We'll add this as the line item. The PO is now really happy. I have $50. There's no check math flags. My line items don't show a check math flag, and I have a printable link. Those are the pieces that kind of tell me, yes, cool, I can do it. Okay. So ideally, this would be your little piece, and it's now stored away. We can scan the little item, we document it, we do whatever we want to do. I've got some little pen and paper right here. I'm just writing down some quick information just so I know what I'm dealing with, because ideally what happens, this comes in, piece of cake, it's done. So I'm going to take you back to the balance sheet because we're going to be kind of having to do a little bit of a tricky true, okay? So watch this right here. What's going on, I'm going to flip around for just a quick second. I'm going to go ahead and clear everything that we were doing in this little page. Back down to zeros all across the board, okay? So what we did is we basically said, hey, we've got a new PO and we got some new inventory coming in, okay? Okay, but this is only part of the PO. I'm just going to put it like this. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to actually flip back to my other screen, and the piece that actually was coming in was $33.80. Okay, so technically we got new $33.80 in inventory. I bumped up my risk guards by 2 or whatever, so I'm good and happy there. Okay. However, my payables, what I owe to this company for the stuff, is $50. Okay, so technically what happens is I'm out a certain amount, correct? Okay, so how do I record this? What's the best way to do it?
Well, I was going to say it's an expense, but we already decided we wanted to do a cost of goods sold, right?
Okay, correct. So eventually we would actually like to attribute a cost of goods sold over here, okay? Let's just put it in here and see if it's going to make our math work out. 1620?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so there's all of our different pieces, okay? But currently what we have right now is we have this. Inventory went up. The payables went up automatically, okay? How about this guy? Is this guy where it's supposed to be?
No, because there wouldn't have been any way to tie it in.
Okay, so so watch this. How would we fix this? Okay, this is great because this is what just happened. Automatically, we got inventory that went up from the PO. Automatically, the payables went up to 50. Automatically, not automatically. It has no clue that, that exists right now. So I'm basically pushing it back on you, like, how are we going to solve this?
We can make
Add
an
it to the balance sheet.
expense But we could make it a balance sheet expense and just call it freight. But then it doesn't go back to cost of goods sold, does it?
Okay. The way that we can get things into cost of goods sold is from an invoice, actually pulling physical items in, or there is a way to take an expense and map it to this part of the puzzle, if you will. Okay. So what it kind of comes down to is how do you want to pay for this, and how do you want to put this little piece into the system? Now, eventually we owe this Pro Shop piece. Okay, we owe them $50, but currently our stuff is out of balance. I'm totally asking you guys, like, we'll take you, there's multiple directions you can go, but I'm just curious, how would you solve it? How would you solve this? Okay? Here's how I would solve it, okay? This is how I would personally do it right now. I would actually go like this. I would say, I'm going to switch gears, and I know that I have $16.20 that is owed towards freight, okay? I also know that on number 52, PO number 52, is my key pieces. So on my piece of paper I have right here, guess what I wrote down? 52, 1620, okay? Here's how I'm going to solve this particular piece of the puzzle, okay? I'm already right here. I'm going to go right to the payables for this particular vendor, if you will, okay? What do I owe them for, okay? It's way out here for some PO stuff. There's a bunch of stuff owed, okay? I'm going to basically go like this. You know what? We're going to create a new expense, and let's go new, and we'll tie it to that vendor. Pro, search. There's my Bowling Pro Shop. Create the receipt, okay? And what I'm virtually going to be doing is I'm going to be flip-flopping some payables, okay? Like, I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this, but what I wanted to show you, okay, I'm going to come right back here. Let me show you what I'm prepping, and then we're going to come right back here, okay? Watch this. So currently in their payables, they have nothing that we owe them, and everything we owe them is right here in POs. So if I click on this right here, it literally will show me my new PO, $50, and I owe $50 on it, okay? But technically, what I wanted to do is I'm actually going to be doing a little transaction. Here's what I want to do, okay? I'm going to show you a little marker. I'm going to take a portion of this right here, and I'm going to make a payment towards that PO, and I'm going to take the piece that I was missing and say, guess what, I still owe you. See how there's nothing in splits, but everything is all in POs? Mm-hmm. My goal is to take $16 out of what I owe for POs, stick it over here, so I still owe them. It's still going to be tracking all the way across as far as what I totally owe them, but it's just a different, all of a sudden I'm going to get my books correct, okay? Because of that freight that kind of came in the backside, it was not actually an inventory item. This is how I'm going to do it. There's multiple ways you can do this, okay? It's really not that complicated once you figure it out. Oh, I'm just going to flip that here, okay? Watch this. Expense receipt, new, vendor, pro, go, create the expense receipt, come down, it's for $16.20, okay? So normally expense receipts were like, oh my goodness, this is money coming out of the bank. What if I don't want to pay this right now? Don't worry. We'll show it to you, okay? We're going to be playing with a little thing called splits, okay? Put a payment on account. 120, if I had information, great, for PO 52.
Is that enough to tie it to 52?
Nope. Guess what? This is, though.
Okay.
Okay. Watch this. $16. Okay. Guess what? I have a really cool thing called cost of goods, incoming freight. Okay. Location. I'm going to go ahead and say it's Sacramento. And I'm going to come right over here, and this is the little piece that I'm going to do. I have it written on my piece of paper. It's right here. Okay. So guess what this is actually going to attribute to that PO? A payment of $16.20 towards that PO. Okay. And I'm going to come down here and say, oh, guess what? I didn't really pay anything. I clicked on account, which changed it to 0 on account, no bank. Okay. So I'm technically using an expense receipt to flip-flop some stuff. I add this. I do whatever I wanted to. Watch what, if I click on payables now, what are we expecting?
Still $50.
Okay. Guess what? The PO over here is $50 still, okay? It's still $50. But guess what? Something's been applied to it, so we now owe $33.80. But watch this. I now have some more money that's over here. I still owe them the exact same amount, but now it's just in a different spot.
Okay, what you did is you split your invoice, no, POs.
So the PO, let's go back to this PO, okay, here, and we'll go right into the actual item. Edit. We're currently in 52. It says I have one payment applied towards it, and here's all of my information that was the total of $50.
Okay.
Okay? So this one little payment basically is going to cover the freight. What happened was I needed to move this freight directly to cost of goods right this second. Okay? So if I go to the P&L, do you think I actually landed that where I wanted it to go?
If you say so.
Absolutely. Watch this, watch this. Let's check it out, okay? Home, P&L, and we're just going to run it, okay? Boom, go ahead and run it. Here's revenue, cost of goods sold, etc., etc. We're going to scroll down, revenue, cost of goods. This is normal from invoices. This is a new line we have never seen before, okay? We took an expense receipt. So I click on this, it literally will say, here's where I came from, number 51, okay? Here's the notes. So I knew exactly how it was being all paid. Basically, all in all, I just satisfied all those pieces. So I flip-flop right here. I now have this, 3380, my inventory went up, okay? 1620, my cost of goods just went up, okay? And the other piece was I still owe a total of $50, barring that everything else was paid for, okay? Now $50 still exists. The whole thing, it's just got flipped. It's like, oh, part of you is in splits, a payment on account, and part of you is under POs because I'm going to do this. Now, depending on how quick you're trying to keep this up, depends on how you want to do that. There's other ways to do it. You could have originally made your PO just for $33.80 and then just hammered in the, so instead of putting everything onto the PO and then backing it off of that, you could have just said, I'm not even going to put it on the PO, then I'm going to just have this piece, and then I'm going to record this other piece that I owe.
You would still owe it as the same vendor, but instead of putting it into inventory, you would just put it in as
correct. So we're going to actually really quick talk about payables and how you play there, okay? Because what we did is just a quick little flip-flop. That is not the only way you can do this. This is one way that you can do it, okay, literally. I'm going to flip-flop to this little screen, and we're going to go to the map, okay? So what we have going on here is we're trying to do this, okay? We know we have a PO that brought some stuff into inventory, okay? And currently, we have some stuff that's in accounts payable, okay? Now, what actually feeds this little piece right here?
the PO.
Okay, POs feed this piece. What else feeds this piece? Stock units feed this piece.
I would assume.
Reimbursements. Watch this. So stock units feed this piece. Reimbursements feed this piece. And splits, which are basically unpaid expense receipts, feed this piece. Okay? So here's where we had the problem. We owe $50 to this other company. Okay? Which piece do we want to hold it? Do we want everything to be on the PO, or do we want to kind of just do an underpaid little piece that eventually gets me $50 here? Okay? How are you going to be playing? It comes down to tools. What are your tools and what are your options? Okay? So the other way that you can do it is if you actually have your invoice and you're going through paying for things, you can technically be like, oh, I'm just going to pay for this little piece, and then I'm going to roll right back and put that same thing on the same actual line item when I actually go through it. Okay? You want to see it in a different way?
Sure.
Okay? So watch this. What we're going to do is we're going to virtually do the exact same scenario. We're just going to kind of play it slightly different. Okay? Normal. Okay. I'm going to go find the PO where I actually just paid it off, or kind of split some stuff. Here's the exact same PO. Okay? We had two of these at 16 and one of them at 16.20 for some freight. Let's say that I want another PO to the same vendor. Exactly everything. I clicked on duplicate PO. I'm going to come down, make sure everything's good to go, and yes, they're in my category, and we're just going to say duplicate. Okay, my new PO is now 53. Okay, and I need to do a quick little edit because of the freight. It didn't like. I should have put 16.20 in there. I put auto instead of 1620, which took it to 0. Okay, check math 3380 and 50. Okay, right here, like, okay, there are multiple ways you can skin this cat. I'm not trying to let's put it back to 50 for just a quick second. Watch this. Edit main, $50. This is basically the same exact scenario, okay? So now I owe another $50 to Pro Bowling. Here's one way that I can do it. I can go to Payables, and I can click over here under POs. I'm not even going to worry about splits. If you don't want to flip-flop some stuff, you can literally go like this. POs, awesome, sweet. Here's my 2 new ones that I did, 52 and 53. Let's verify them so we can kind of pay them. Click. You verify, boom. Okay? Come down. You verify, boom. Basically what that does is it opens up my little pieces right here. Okay? So because we have freight and we know that we might have some random little pieces, ideally instead of just saying click, 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 pay, because what it does is on the next page it only allows me to add a portion of that little piece to a single account. Okay? It's assuming you're all going to just crunch it all together. So watch this. Click, click. We're gonna come back, but I'm just trying to show you. If you click pay right here, guess how many times you get to select the type? Only once. So that's where it's like, oh, I don't want all of that to go here. Okay. So what could potentially happen is you do some prep. So instead of saying I'm going to pay that and I'm going to pay that, you quickly look at it. Is there any freight on this thing? Oh, yep, 1620. You write that down. You hit back. You go to the next one. Is there any freight on this one? Oh, there is. There's 1620 on this one as well. Okay, back. So then you just kind of do the math. What is still owed and what is still owed, and then you could say I'm going to pay this much and this much towards my main amounts. Pay, 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 and you could flip it out, and then you can actually add the other line item as a sub. Or if you're really fast, I know I'm giving you tons of options. Like there's not a right or wrong way to do this. I could even go like this: click, click, pay, run through the whole thing. Say, okay, here's my stuff. Cool. We're going to go ahead and put my little informations. I can tell this is a pretty deep subject right after lunch. Okay, so say we're going to do a cash. We're going to take it out of the Bank of California. We're going to add our check number. And say we did put it all towards inventory right now. Okay?
So we're not doing our...
Okay, so what I was doing, I just was going click, 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 just boom, 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 okay? Like, boom, you created the thing. It's not a problem, okay? You now created the whole thing that you wanted to pay them, but however, one of these guys is too high on one side. So what you could technically do is be like, okay, you know what? I knew that this particular one actually had 1620 in freight. Like this is one way you could get around it. You could go like this, down to the bottom, go like this. 1620, boom. Well, okay. Long story short, there's lots of different ways. I can do this. What it does is that every single step that I take is doing cause and effects. You guys are looking at me like, where in the heck are you taking us? Okay. Well, it depends on what's going on, what's trying to happen. Okay. So I just made a mistake. I put $50 towards a balance sheet type thing, which would have thrown off my booking. Okay.
Yeah, because you made a duplicate one, so it was like 250. Yeah.
Correct, correct. So ideally, if you're dealing with freight, you're gonna do some prep work. Okay. What's going where? Okay. You could either flip it on the front end like I did. And just go hold it over there on cost of goods. I'll pay for you all when I'm ready to pay for you. Not a problem. Okay. Or you can kind of go through and like you basically have to kind of gather up your pieces and be like, okay, inventory is 38 something. This is 38 something. Like you kind of have to dictate which of these little cans you're going to switch it in. So we have some stuff that's automated, so you could automatically go like click, 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 pay. But we only say if you do the click, 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 pay, you're only going to be able to throw it into one little can. Okay, and that potentially is a problem. Okay, there are multiple ways that you can do this. The way that
Could I have done 2 POs? Could I have done to the same vendor? Could I have done one PO with my inventory and then another PO with my freight.
Absolutely.
And it was still tied to my vendor, so I still owe him the right amount of thing. But I'd actually have two, on my side, I'd have 2 POs to one vendor.
Correct. And so depending on if you want to put the freight on the physical PO so it matches your records that they have according to you,
Yeah.
or if you want to say, no, you know what, I'm already going to be pushing that over to another side of the fence. Okay, so it depends on if you wanted to do 2 POs or if you just wanted to say, you know what, I'll do a PO for the 3380, and I'll do an expense for this, and I'll basically make them both non-paid, and then they're just both sitting out there. One's in splits, one's in POs, or you could have multiple POs, one that's your freight PO and one that's your normal PO.
Yeah.
Either way, you're still playing with that payables entity there.
But it'd probably be better to do it the splits, just because then I can tie it all back to one PO.
Okay, so
Where the information is.
So when you go to pay this stuff, this totally depends on the industry as far as like what's happening and how am I tracking my freight and where do I want it, or did I already include it in as cost of goods sold, or like there's variables here. Like you said, I wonder if I should actually include like up my cost of my items so that it already includes freight. Then you wouldn't even have this issue at all. Okay.
Right.
However, that's really tough if you have itsy bitsy teeny things and you have 50 different little things, and you're like, oh my goodness, what in the world, okay? And maybe what it is it's like, Adilas, you guys need to help us add a new little thing that says, here's all the pieces that I have, and here's this. Can you split this for me and show me how much I would actually add to all these different costs? Like, because that's major math that you're doing. You're sitting there with a calculator.
Yeah, because I'd have to figure out how many ounces I have, because I sold everything by the ounce. Then I'd have to divide my ounces that I got into my freight. Then I'd have to add it back to everything. Yeah, it is a lot of math. And yet in some ways I'd like to do that, because when I just do a markup, I'm maybe not counting the freight, and eventually that may make a difference on how much I'm marking it up or something.
Correct. So you're technically what you could do is you could prep on the front end when you're entering your PO, and you could physically, because you literally have it there, you could see, I have $13 in freight that I need to cover here, okay? And I have all these different little items. Like, I'm not sure if you would just want to put it into certain ones or if you wanted to evenly spread it out. Like, you're talking some pretty major math that's going to be going on because, well, it's math. It's just basic division and multiplication, kind of adding those things back in together so that your total cost absorbs that freight, okay? And then you wouldn't have this particular problem. Or you have to kind of play the game. What am I going to put on the PO, and how quick or how bulky am I going to try to pay for this thing? There are multiple ways that you could do it, or you could actually say, you know what, Adilas, I think that you guys actually need to add a new little setting, so if we're doing this, I can put whatever I want, and whatever I tell you in the background that this is going to be my freight or my shipping one, you actually show it broken out for me, so I can be like, this much is going to go towards inventory, and this much needs to go towards that. But here's where your here's where your disconnect comes. If you wait until the very, very end when you go to pay the thing off, it's not even over to your cost of goods where you wanted it. Okay? We are chasing our tails right here, but watch this, okay? So if I have 2 POs right here, I go PO and a PO, okay? Automatically they create the accounts payables, automatically, okay? Which automatically ups my inventory right here, okay? Mm-hmm. However, there's a piece on my P&L, if that's where I really want my freight to go, it's hanging out in left field until I decide to pay for these things when I actually, because guess how, the only way I can wrap to a PO or the P&L for the cost of goods or an expense is through this channel, but we haven't done anything there yet. That's why there's a potential disconnect there, okay? You can do it in a lot of different ways, and we've kind of gone around and around and around. We currently have a piece. Let's go ahead and finish the piece that we have, and then we'll basically, we're trying to split a payable between what's owed on POs versus what's owed on splits, okay? Here's I'm trying to think of the best way to take you down this road, okay? I'm actually going to remove these so we can play with those same things again, okay? we're going to start all over again and kind of be like, hey, you know what, we're going to just do it this way. Okay, I created a PO, sorry, an expense, number 52. I currently owe $83.80, okay? I have 0 line items because I just deleted these things, okay? And I decided that I was going to make a check out for $83.80, okay? Now, if I wanted to, if I come down, and as long as your vendor matches the same as your POs, there's actually a little link right here. This is one way that you could do it. Watch this. Click. You could come here and you could be like, you know what? I actually needed this guy. So I've already paid off his freight. So this one here is completely in inventory. Click. Pay it. Okay? Now I can come back down to this. Basically do the same thing again, kind of just walk through it. This guy, I only want to attribute $33.80 towards inventory. Click, pay it, okay? So basically I'm slowly kind of saying, boom, boom, inventory, inventory. I'm just satisfying that small piece, okay? So now if I come back to this exact same one, to the PO builder, it should say that I only owe $16.20. I'm like, okay, cool, you need to go to cost of goods. Click. Do you kind of see how I switched to a different mode, but I'm like, okay, you go here, you go here, you go here. This is one way to do it. At this point, I just immediately, that's now on cost of goods sold, okay? So I went inventory, inventory, cost of goods sold. But I used a different little thing. I made sure that my vendor matched who my POs were to, and then I used a little thing called the PO builder page, okay? Because I was trying to kind of wrap it all together. There are multiple ways that you can do it, However, I should now have I should have $32.40 in my cost of goods sold because we've paid twice now towards cost of goods sold. Okay, let's go check it out. We'll go home, we'll go P&L, and we'll just pull it up, get it. We'll scroll down to the cost of goods section, $32.40, okay? So basically we've attributed it twice, but like there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. Here's another way that we're going to do it the exact same way, and what I'm trying to do is show you like, okay, what do you want to do? And you might be like, oh my goodness, you showed me 50 million different ways. There's not a right or wrong way to do it. There really isn't, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go to that last PO number just so I can get the part number. I can't remember what it was. PO last, okay. I'm going to just copy that. It has a 4 in front of it, but I'm not worried. Let's say we're going to create a new PO. So we're going to go new, and we're going to say vendor, and we're going to say pro. Okay, create the PO. Sacramento. Got some wrist guards. Come down. Now watch this. What if I say it's going to be $33.80? Okay. Whatever your number is, add this. Say add the PO. Click. Search for that item. Perfect. Yep. Want it. Want 2 of those. Go ahead. Click. Okay. So watch this. $33.80. $33.80. I did not include my freight. Okay. Now if I wanted to, I could put the freight on here, which means I have to eventually pull it back off, or I could just kind of go like this. I also need to record that I still am owed because my total ticket was for $50, okay? So I could easily go like this as well. Vendor, pro, create an expense receipt, record quickly the $16.20. Now I'm able to play with the date. Can't remember what the PO number was. I'll just hit. I'm going to come back. This I haven't really added anything here. PO line items, those 54. Okay, cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say vendor pro. I'm going to kind of go back forward again. Where were we? For PO number 54. This is where paper really helps you out a ton. Okay. Come down here, 1620. It's going to go cost of goods sold, incoming freight, location, PO 54. Okay. And this is going to be on account because I am not paying this right now. Click. So technically what happens is I have 53, it's tied to expense receipt 53 is tied to PO 54 for 1620 right here. But now what I did is I immediately distributed it quickly. I now have part of it in splits and part of it in my owed under POs. But I still owe the total of $50 towards that vendor. That's another way that you can do it, okay? So you can choose if you want to put the whole thing. Here's where the disconnect comes. Guess what? They're eventually going to say, hey, you owe me $50. But if you go to your POs or you go to your expenses, you now have a disconnect. So you're like, which one is that? You know, like unless they give you a number and you recorded it, then you could look it up. So there's pros and cons. And what it is it's basically their system and your system, and you're trying to track things, but you're still trying to keep that payable together so you know what that whole thing was. There's a slight disconnect there, okay? Cool. That was a long, drawn-out process. You're able, the key piece, okay, on an expense, the line, this portion right here is critical if you're paying for POs on an expense, okay? This little tie is literally how we say, oh, cool, that was paid out. Oh, cool, that was, et cetera, okay? So that's kind of how different little pieces of the puzzle work. There are other ways, but we're not even going to get into it. But basically, figure out the tools and then figure out what works for your business and how you want to do it. Do you want to take the freight and factor it into the original costs? Or do you want to say, I'm going to put everything on the same PO, and then when I actually pay them, I'll add an extra line item and I'll kind of split it out then? Or do we want to kind of split it out immediately so it's immediately holding in the places that it needs to, it just hasn't been paid yet? Okay, so like you have to make some decisions there.